You're listening to the Player Issue Podcast. Here's your host, Aaron Warwick.
G'day everybody, welcome back for episode 17 of the Player Issue Podcast. I know it's been a little while since we've had an episode, very sorry about that. Unfortunately, life does take way sometimes, and obviously the COVID-19 stuff that has been going on has caused us a little bit of grief. In fact that we actually purchased a house very recently, and we've been trying to move everything over from the old house to the new house, and of course with all the restrictions we haven't been able to get anybody really that can come and help us, so it has been rather tough. Banks and all the hold-ups that we've had as well through trying to get the place settled and get in and get on with it. And of course I don't have my old studio anymore, so right now I'm doing this in the kitchen of our new house in a little concave little area, a little tiny bay window. So I'm looking out into my new man cave shed, which I'm very excited to create as the new studio, which is going to be a little while, unfortunately, because my old man has come around and he's done some measurements and some costings, and he's let me know that it's going to cost a few $1,000s to get it up and ready as to a working environment. So unfortunately I'll be doing it the show from right here in the kitchen for the next couple, probably 3-4 episodes, unfortunately. But hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. I have done the interview in this same spot, so I had to listen back and it sounds alright, and I hope you all agree. And on to our interview today. This is a bloke that I've been trying to get on for a long time now, since the very beginning. He let me know who he was at the very start, and I got extremely excited to be able to get him on, and unfortunately it's taken a little while. He's been a very busy man, as I'm sure you'll understand as we get into the episode and into the interview. But he's been good enough to be able to come on, and he was very excited, just as I was, to actually do the interview. So it's fantastic to be able to get him on, and I'm sure everybody will love it. This isn't just a targeted audience interview, so it's not just for a particular club. He does have a affiliation with a club. However, a lot of his topics and things he talks about is easily covered across all clubs. So definitely give it a listen. Doesn't matter who you follow. Give it a good listen. I'm sure you'll love it. I think you'll probably agree that we probably have to get him back for an episode 2 at some point, because I don't think we would have covered everything. But yeah, we'll see what we can do about that. And if you guys agree, then I think we should probably do a Q&A with him next time. Get some questions in from all you guys, and I'll be more than happy to ask. So without jibber-jabbering on too much, listen out again after the interview. We'll be doing our usual thing. We'll do the ins and outs on eBay and Gumtree, etc. And we'll just cover a few more topics and we'll say goodbye. So we'll get into it now. Here is our interview today with one Jayden Shea. All right, Jayden, how are we, man?
Good, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a while, long time coming, I guess, but yeah, it's great to finally be on and get a chance to have a chat to you.
Yeah, it certainly has been a long time coming. I think you might have messaged me possibly after the very first episode, which I was a bit shocked by. I thought if anyone was going to message me with any sort of provenance, that it might be a little while into it. But big names such as yourself, first episode, it was a bit of a shock for me.
Yeah, but what are we into now? Episode 18, I think. So
is it? I think it's 17, but I'm not sure.
17. That's all right. We're up. We're getting up the mark, that's for sure.
Yeah, we finally got you in, so I'm absolutely stoked, because you're definitely the one I've wanted to talk to since we first started. So, but I will be honest, when you did message me, I didn't have any idea who you were, but I was lucky enough I could do a little bit of research and find out a fair bit about you, and I found out some really cool stuff. I mean, it wasn't easy to research your whole history, obviously, but I have found out some pretty interesting and some pretty cool stuff, which I'm hoping we'll get through most of it today, certainly with the help of yourself. But for those who don't know who you are, and I'm sure there'll be a few of us out there, just let everyone know exactly who you are and why I'll be talking to you.
Yeah, so I am the equipment manager that I like to call myself. I know there's other guys out there that call them property stewards, but I changed the title to equipment manager because a lot of people thought I was selling houses for the Western Bulldogs. So I'm the equipment manager for the Western Bulldogs and look after all the equipment there for the guys. And Yeah, so we're especially as well while we're on here, the Guernseys and all the apparel as well.
Yep. So actually funny you mentioned that because I wasn't exactly sure what to call you either. So I did a bunch of research and I think I ended up coming up with your LinkedIn profile and it said property manager. So I just went with that.
That's fine, mate. Look, there's a lot of different titles, but I think I've taken the American way, and it was the equipment manager. So,
no, I like that.
The overseas title, mate. I'm trying to get it to stick down here in Australia. But,
no, I prefer that. It's a good one. I like it. It's definitely. Yeah. It covers it a lot easier than property manager does. You're right there.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've been doing this job since 2014. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, so a long time in the game. So what's that now? That's 6 years. 6 years. A long time, mate. Long time. So no, it's been great. Started in 2014. It's been one hell of a journey, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you started around about the right time because some things started getting very interesting for the Bulldogs around that time. So we'll definitely get into that as well. But just want to cover a couple of things before we do. Now, the first thing I did after you messaged me, obviously, was jump on Google, type in your name, and the first thing that came up was a interesting story from 2018. It involved a fish.
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
I'm glad you found that one. The boys, mate, they like to have a bit of a muck around at the football club. I left my car window down one day, and they could whatever they could find around the car, they ended up putting it in the front seat and into the glove box, etc. So I went back to the cameras, had a look to find out who it was, and Shane Biggs, Nathan Mullinger McHugh. So those guys, I went down to Footscray Market, picked up a couple of fish. Nice big, long, I don't even know what they were, but they were massive fish. Got their car keys while they were doing weights and having a massage, and just decided to chuck that in the back seat somewhere and try and hide it. So just a little bit of payback, but, all fun and games. Look, we're there 24/7, I guess you'd really call it. We're there a hell of a lot of time, and, it's all just fun and games, mate, because we've got to keep ourselves entertained sometimes. So those things happen regularly.
Absolutely. How'd that go down with the boys?
Oh, they thought it was pretty funny, but yeah, I think that was the end. We called it a truce after that. That was for sure.
Good. Luckily there wasn't any comeback from that because it could have got real bad.
That's right. That's right.
So I've also found that you have I found because I looked at you for a start, but you have a very uncanny resemblance to Jack Gunston. I reckon you've heard that a few times.
I have. Yeah, the boys think so. I can't see it, but, yeah, a lot of people. He's a good player. I wish I could play half as good as he is. And, yeah. But,
it's not a bad looking rooster either, so you're doing alright there.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Yeah.
So obviously your job's kind of on the back burner at the moment purely because of this COVID-19 stuff going on. But when you do get a chance to get back to the club, just give us a bit of a rundown of what your day-to-day activities are and what exactly you'll be doing during the day when you first get back.
Yeah, so, look, COVID-19 hit pretty hard. Obviously, before I go back, like we ended up, I couldn't believe we got round one underway. So, to get that underway, which was great, but, to have a halt as we did, it was really just a big, massive shock to the system. So mate, I've been away for 2 months from the football club, which has been odd, but yeah, look, I'm looking forward to getting back and, hopefully, things turn out normal, but a day to day for me. Look, the main thing is as well, like I'll try and help out with training services. So just get out and help all the coaches out there, kick the footies back, collect the cones, just try and help the coaches coach, I guess, and not have to worry about the little things like that. So get out and help them. And then I've got a lot of planning to do with ASICs. We're looking at 2021 apparel when I was at the club at the time. So a lot of meetings through that, trying to organise that sort of side of it. But also making sure that, day-to-day duties get done. We wash all the Guernseys in there. Got a great helper in Bill Hector that helps me out. So he looks after all that sort of side of it, and we also make sure that we're ready for the game because it takes us a hell of a long time to organise, our game for the upcoming week.
Yeah, absolutely. I also noticed that you wear the marking pad on your back as well.
Oh, the marking bag, yeah. I think hopefully the coaches don't listen in, but they're getting a little bit older, so we just want to make sure we look after them. And myself being 27, I think I can cop a few more hits and hopefully, yeah.
I reckon the lads love that as well.
Oh, just anything to help them out, mate, I guess. So. But just look after those precious coaches, that's for sure.
So you also mentioned that you've got some 2021 stuff to get sorted. So do you often do it like a year in advance?
We do. Most of our apparel comes out of I think it's Japan and China because of ASICS. Yeah. ASICS our obviously our apparel sponsor.
Yeah.
But just making sure that obviously that goes through the factory. A lot of planning in advance, so we do end up getting it, we'll end up getting our first order probably just at the end of the season. Hopefully everything starts rolling in by then. So we're ready to go in November for the pre-season. So a lot of planning, what takes place, but yeah, we've just got to make sure that we're ahead of the game because, you don't want to fall behind definitely, with overseas orders.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at the moment. I mean, I've been waiting for some jerseys, some NBA jerseys for 3 months now, pretty much since it started, and it doesn't really look like there's any end to when I'm actually going to get them, so it's scary.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that. I know you're waiting for jerseys, but mate, I'm just waiting for it to start back up. It's been a long time since we've seen any live sport for a while, so really looking forward to that, to getting back, that's for sure, the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a massive Kings fan, so I think I was watching the warm-ups when I was getting ready for work for the Kings versus Pelicans, and the Kings were on the floor, they were warming up, and it was all going fine, and then I looked and the footage had cut off, and I thought, oh, what the hell's going on here? And I got to work about an hour and a half later and found out that it had all been cut off and stopped and no more. Wow, what's going on? So, yeah, since that day it's been pretty empty.
It has, mate, it has, and it's just a real eye-opener for what's going on in the world, I guess, and sport like NBA and all the rest of it have all coming to a halt. It's pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. So you came into the club and you started doing the equipment manager. I'm going to change that because I say that again. When you were 21 years old, 21 years of age, is that correct?
Yeah, so I was 20. I was actually 20 when I first got hired. And I remember a funny story. We flew to Canberra. I think from memory, round 4, we ended up playing the GWS Giants. And I remember having my 21st birthday in the meals room. And shared a 21st birthday with Will Midson, who also shares the same birthday as well. So it was pretty funny. The lights went out. Out come the big cake, which was great. Happy birthday, Jayden Shea and Will Minson. So no, it was pretty funny. But for a 21-year-old, to take on that much responsibility, I appreciate the club, for putting their faith in me, which was massive. So, but yeah, you're right, mate. I spend most of the time and birthdays at the footy club, so to spend the 21st, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously being quite early, and you got into the club at 21, who did you support as a kid? I don't know, would it have been the Bulldogs, or did you support somebody else?
It's funny you ask. The family's mad Collingwood, so I was a Collingwood supporter growing up. And I spent a little bit of time down there actually. I was just helping out, with their, property steward at the time, Wayno, just helping him out from a day to day. That's how I sort of got my start, and helping out their VFL program as well. Paula Curia was sort of my mentor growing up, through that. And, just sort of helping out them. So that's how I sort of got my start through Collingwood, which was great. So, I was lucky enough to work the 2010 grand final with the draw.
Oh wow.
Which was an amazing experience. And also help out there in 2011. So, very grateful and, for the opportunity.
Yeah, that's very cool. Met your parents and all that would have loved that as well, seeing you out there.
Oh, they would, mate, yeah. And, yeah, massive, as I said, yeah, I was a Pies supporter, but, now my heart, bleeds red, white and blue, mate, so.
It's good to hear. I'm sure all the Bulldogs fans will love to hear that as well.
Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so.
We've got a few very keen listeners that were very excited to hear this episode, so yeah, they'll love that.
That's good.
So you got your start at Collingwood. Now, I was going to ask you that question, is how does someone get themselves into doing that particular role? Did you start there as a school apprenticeship type thing, or did you always have that aspiration to do it, or?
Yeah, well, I think like every kid, mate, you dream to play the great game. And if it wasn't playing, I sort of set my sights on working at a football club.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, I had a work experience there. I think it was year 9 or 10. But ever just since then, like, it was Collingwood's first year in the VFL program. My uncle at the time was sort of helping out with the stats. So I just threw my hand up and, just to help out in any way, cause they were looking for some support. So yeah, I just threw my hat into the ring and just sort of progressed through there. And, as I said to you, mentioned before, Paul Acura really helped me out, through that time and looked after me and sort of guided me through all that time. And, yeah, it ended up becoming, something I didn't really dream of, obviously working at a football club, but it's, definitely been, as I said before, one hell of a ride to end up at the Bulldogs and, obviously have a premiership there as well. So, yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, spoilers, but I'm sure everyone knows by now.
That's all right, yeah, sorry.
We might have some overseas listeners that don't know. You never know. I don't know. We'll find out.
No, mate. We never know. Hopefully we get some coverage overseas. It'd be nice.
Okay, so actually, I do want to ask about your footballing. As you mentioned that you couldn't quite break the big one, but what's your footballing career look like?
Yeah, football. Look, I still play like every sort of chance I get. I'm only 27 now, so I don't want to retire, but how it looks for me, it's been pretty tough, because all the way through to juniors has been, great. But, once I started getting older and started working in the football industry, it's been quite tough because my role, obviously, I have to travel with the team everywhere they go, which sort of limits me to play football. So I only might get 8 or 9 games in a season. So yeah, it's been pretty tough, but as I said to you before, I want to try and keep playing, which I love playing the game, but, yeah, it's just very, very tough to try and get a full season in, which, they're the sort of sacrifices you make once you work in the football department, I guess.
Yep. Now, I looked quite a bit, and it looks like that you seem to fancy yourself as a pretty highly touted collegiate football player as well.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not sure where you got that from, but, I went to school at Parade College, and probably that was my most, memorable football, so far, was playing school football with my friends. I remember you just sort of finish up lunch and, you end up, getting on the school bus with 22 of, your schoolmates and going out to play footy was, very good times and great memories.
I heard you kicked a few bags.
Few bags. I just want to know where you're getting this info from. I didn't know that was on the internet somewhere, but, kicked a few bags. Oh, look, sometimes, mate, I don't like the big note, but yeah, maybe a few four.
I think Digby Morell might actually think the opposite.
Digby
from what I've heard.
Old coach of mine at Parade, yeah. He was, he was great, Digby. He, also loved to have a laugh with the boys, but, I don't think he was too impressed one day when I kicked 5 or 6 in the first quarter or first half, and he wasn't happy with my showboating, so he dragged me for the rest of the game. I think that's the story that you were going with.
I heard you gave it the John Cena can't see me, eh?
Yeah, that's the one. Give it back to the opposition, and, that was it. That was sort of unsportsmanlike. I came in, that sort of conversation, and had to sit out for the rest of it. So, Yeah. But who knows? Who knows? If it would have went a bit further, who knows what I could have ended up with. So I'll never let Digby, never let him forget that one. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I've gone through a lot of your Instagram and things like that. So yes, I have stalked you. Sorry about that, but I've had to do a little bit. But one regular theme that I've noticed is you seem to be real tight with one absolute superstar of the game. Now, I don't know if it's a bromance or your housemates or just real good mates, but seem to be hanging out with Marcus Bontempelli quite a fair bit.
Yeah, and we have become pretty close mates. How all that sort of started is he's from Eltham, and I'm in Montmorency, so it's funny that I was mates with his cousins before I ended up meeting Marcus, but had never met Marcus before. So once we sort of got to the club, we sort of just clicked over, where he lived. Obviously he lived in Eltham, Montmorency, but yeah, just sort of gelled with mutual friends. And ever since then, yeah, just became really close friends. And yeah, it's I don't know, I wouldn't call it a bromance, but yeah, some would, but yeah, no, Marcus, yeah, he's a really good fella, and as I said before, yeah, he's become a close mate of mine, and yeah, I'm just, we sort of look after each other at the club, and I think he more looks after me than anything, that's for sure. So, but it's good.
Looks like you've managed to have a fair amount of fun in that time in the off seasons, especially been to everywhere by the looks of it. It looks absolutely tremendous, the amount of fun that you seem to have had in the off seasons.
Yeah, we've had we've been to America 4 times, I think. Yeah, which is, look, it's hurt the bank, that's for sure, but, but, oh mate, the great memories there that, and I think one of the biggest things is, we start in November, have a little bit of a break through Christmas and go all the way through. And if you end up going through to the big one in September, you don't really get much of a break. So to go away together, and spend some good quality time together has been awesome. So yeah, we've been over to the States with the same interest with, going to the NBA and NFL and, yeah, just having a good time over there and just getting away from Melbourne for a fair bit. It's, yeah, we really like to, make sure our holidays are quite equipped with some good stuff. So.
Yeah, there was one video I saw where you were probably about 3 feet away from LeBron James when he was getting introduced. I mean, geez, I was jelly at that point.
We've had some great access, which, yeah, it's, that's what I guess footy circles do, get you great access, into that sort of thing. But yeah, we're very lucky. Another one, like we've ended up, meeting Dwayne Wade over in New York. So, I was a massive Dwayne Wade fan, and I think I can remember sort of meeting him, shaking his hand, sort of finishing up with that sort of stuff and walking out, nearly crying. So I'm happy to say that, that was one massive one to tick off the bucket list, but, yeah, some great access over there, and especially seeing LeBron live. That's, if anyone's listening and they're a big LeBron fan, you get over and try and see him before his career ends. It's, that's an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's a must do. I mean, just watching The Last Dance, I'm sure you would have watched it as well, current on Netflix, which is the Michael Jordan documentary, or Chicago Bulls. I think it's more of a Michael Jordan documentary, but just watching that and you just look at how graceful he was and how amazing it would have been to see him play. So currently, I know LeBron James is still active, so yeah, like Jayden says, if you've got a chance, you've got to take it. We managed to go see him twice when we went last year. Something I'll never ever regret, and he got a triple-double in one of those games. So, yeah, I'll absolutely shadow that. That was a tremendous, tremendous thing to do.
Nice, and look, it as I said before, it does break the bank, but every penny was worth it. That's for sure. So,
yeah, absolutely. I had to sell a few jumpers to do mine, but here's what it is.
There you go.
Now, I know the Dockers are actually watching that documentary quite a lot, and they're doing it as part of their training as well. Do you know if the Dogs are doing that at all?
I'm not sure, mate. I know I've been watching it myself, and I'm sure, I'm sure the list of 45, I'm sure every single player would be tuning in because Michael, he is something else. And as they say, everyone wants to be like Mike, and I'm sure everybody's tuning in. But yeah, not sure if the club's doing anything. But it's been a fantastic doco so far.
Yeah, it's been terrific. I can't actually wait for tomorrow's episode. It's just getting better and better. It's going to end soon, unfortunately.
I know. I don't want it to end. So.
So you actually had the opportunity to become involved in the AFLW as well, where you're a specialist goal kicking coach. Is that correct? I mean, I like the word specialist in your goal kicking. That sounds great.
Yeah. So I just threw once again just like I struck up a great relationship with Paul Groves, the coach, and a great relationship with the girls involved as well, and just sort of threw my hand up to just try and help out. And Paul noticed that they were sort of struggling and sort of trying to hit the scoreboard. So that was sort of one area that I said that I could try and help out with. And the year that I helped out with, they ended up going on to win the flag. So that was a great experience to be a part of. And but I think the main thing for me, mate, was to try and help these girls out with just some of the fundamentals of, even just goal kicking as well. Like, they've got some great athletes there that haven't really played the game from such a young age. So to, come through and play the game and just little things to help them out with, and, a few tips and stuff like, and I'm no superstar, but just to try and help them and see their growth, was fantastic to be a part of.
Absolutely. And obviously, being that they won the premiership that year, I hope you got a little bonus in your salary packet.
No bonus at all, mate. But mate, just the smiles to see the smile on the girls' faces after they won. That was my pay packet, mate. That was that was awesome to be a part of.
It was great to watch it, even as a neutral. So I can't imagine what it'd be like actually being there and being a part of it. So.
Well, the funny thing was, I was just more like grand final day. I was more interested in their patch, the grand final patch. It was just something I just had to keep an eye on, which was it was great to see the Guernsey come through. Yeah,
so I'll actually ask you about that. Did you have anything to do with the women's Guernseys?
No, nothing. I just sort of I got them sort of started. Just their property steward just sort of got her on her way, and they just went their own path, which is great because even though sort of we're one club, they needed to obviously build a foundation between themselves as well. So just helping out in the coaching space.
Yeah, that's good to know. Actually, and now you mentioned the grand final patches, I'm gonna have to bring that up as well. They actually changed the patch as well, didn't they? So from the 2017 one, I actually have Taylor Harris's one, and it's just literally just an iron-on piece of plastic, I guess. The ones after that, they did go with the kind of the red embroidery behind them, did they not?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they did. And it looked fantastic. So, for the AFL to get that organised, it looked really good.
Yeah, it definitely sets them apart. I think it was a little bit hard to tell from the 2017 jumpers that they were wearing the grand final patch, but certainly you could tell on the pitch when the girls were in it when the Dogs won for sure. Anything that differs from just your normal AFL logo, for us collectors, it's a big deal.
You're right, mate. You're right. That's spot on.
And now on that,
yes,
we're going to cover something that I'm sure you're very excited to talk about, and I know a lot of listeners are very happy to hear about as well. I'm very excited. You were lucky enough to be a part of a 2016 premiership. Now tell us what that felt like.
What it felt like. You know what? I haven't been asked that for a long time. So, just looking back, mate, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever, experienced in my life. To hear that final siren just was incredible. But the whole week leading up as well, it was just so much excitement. Like, I remember sort of going to bed and, there's just so much buzz and you sort of can't even get to sleep. You got so much on your mind, and, for it to all finish up and have a win was, just a great experience. So, but I remember, a funny story actually. We ended up winning, the whole final series was fantastic. Like, going over to Perth, winning that one, coming back, finishing off Hawthorn as well, and then going over to GWS was probably like the best game of football I've ever seen in my life, and probably will be to the day I sort of pass. But it was amazing. But I remember, for all the listeners out there, for in terms of the patch and the grand final logo, I remember. So what the AFL do is they send. I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but they actually send the patches to the game and send them home with the retrospective club. So I wasn't aware of it, but the team manager, Ben Graham, at the time went down to, pick up all the team sheet and all the rest of it, and they handed in the patches there and then and said, here are your patches, you've got, I think it was 45 of them, 46 of them.
Okay.
And there you go. So I wasn't aware of it because I remember being involved with Collingwood at the time in 2010. They actually had a sublimated patch on.
Yeah.
Through Adidas, which was, that was great. That was fantastic. But what I've ended up finding out through this final series is that, the AFL actually have sort of stopped that with the sublimated patches because it's too much pressure on the manufacturers to get that organised and get that done. So you could imagine, the stress of if Guernsey's getting made over in China and to try and get it over to Australia within the week. It's just too much pressure. So I think that's where, I'm not sure what the year, you might be able to tell me what year the patches came out, but, they definitely stopped the sublimation, that's for sure.
Yeah, they kind of dilly-dallied around with it a little bit. So they actually came up, I think, around about 2003.
Okay.
Three, I believe it was 3. And they wore it throughout majority from then onwards. But then Hawthorn had it, and then Collingwood had it. So they just didn't quite fully get rid of it. So 2012 as well, they wore it, and they just didn't quite get rid of it. But like you say, I think it was actually Adidas and Puma that seemed to do it. But they had the factories in Australia, so I guess it was a little bit easier for them. But I couldn't imagine if Carlton had made the grand final and trying to get a sublimated grand final logo for them, it would never have happened. So good thing that.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's a good thing that it has moved to the patch, and what a look it does as well. It looks fantastic.
It does. It definitely does. And I remember receiving my first patch. I was sitting on the plane across from Ben, and he sort of leant over and said, I've got something that, you've probably been waiting for a long time. And for me, that, young sort of collector as well, when I started sort of growing up, to finally have that in my hands was it's probably a collector's sort of dream, I guess, and someone who appreciate Guernseys. So he handed that to me on the plane and said, look, here's the first patch. I'll give the rest to you when we get back to Melbourne. So, I remember holding that all the way home, which was pretty cool.
You're absolutely right. That is every collector's dream. And I know every collector tries to get a hold of one, but to have that in your hands, couldn't have been a better feeling.
That's right. Yeah. And it was odd actually. I looked at it and it was all, obviously the the heat press to put it back on, it was all reversed and, that type of stuff on the patch there was, until I finally seen it put on a Guernsey, it looked pretty weird. I think from memory they get made in Mexico, I've been told.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know, but I've got good sources that told me they actually get made from Mexico and get sent down well in advance.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, that's a new one. I've never heard that before, so that's really good information. I like that. Thank you. That's good.
I guess that's why you got me on. So few things like that. But that's what I've been told, and I guess there's probably a lot of truth in that because but anyway.
Well, I've actually got some wrestling masks behind me up there, which Jayden can see, but no one else can. I don't know why I pointed at it, but all of the pro masks, so all the top quality and the professional masks that they use in the shows are actually made in Mexico, and it's the only place that they can make them with that quality material. So, everyone gives Mexico shit for being a bit of a cringe town, but they know how to make some good shit.
They must, mate. They must. But, but when I heard the AFL patches came from Mexico, I was, a bit blown away. But
yeah, I am too. You've stumped me there.
There you go.
Did you have the opportunity to have anything to do with actually putting the logos on, or did you get to watch it, or?
Yeah, so I went down they've become good friends of mine down at Brolga Screen Printing. So they do a lot of heat transfers and the rest of it. And I had so what we did, we said to BLK, who were the apparel sponsor at the time, that we wanted a whole new set of Guernseys in. So we got a whole new set in for the grand final, so every player wore a brand new jumper, which was good. And then so we got them, I took them down to the screen printer, and they heat pressed them on for me. Like I would have loved to have done it, but I got them done professionally and made sure that they're all nice and squared up and heat pressed on, because I remember that one in 2011 where, the St Kilda one was falling off, so I was quite worried about that so I made sure I got it in good hands.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the clubs do it in-house, and I have seen that, like I say, a lot of them fall off, and you can actually see quite a lot of the old AFL logo because they've put it in the wrong position, so, some just didn't quite get it right, but no, genius, mate, well done.
Yeah, and look, and as I said, it was a big occasion, and for them to take that off my hands through the week, it was a bit of a relief, I guess, because I didn't have to worry about it, and they came back perfect.
So obviously there were 45, 46, you say. That means that everyone obviously had two jumpers, is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
And there must have been just a couple of spares just in case?
Couple of spares just in case, yeah. I actually, looking back now, I can't remember what numbers we got done, but, just a couple of spares. It was only like maybe 3 or 4 spares maybe, in the end, but just in case, I think we ended up just keeping them as patches, just, if we needed to go and put it on whoever's Guernsey for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I remember just holding on to them and, just making sure that everybody had their Guernsey, because that's the hardest thing as well, just not knowing what the team, you get a squad, but you really need to knuckle down and make sure that 22, before they go out and run out, that they're all sorted. So
yeah. So did every player on the list get one?
Yes. Yep. So how that works, one got auctioned off.
Yep.
And the other went home with the player. So most of them changed at half time. And if they didn't, they ended up, every single one that was sold was a match worn.
Okay.
I made sure of that, because just say if they didn't change at half time, because it's very chaotic down in the rooms, and obviously grand final day as well, it's very hard to have a player who's so focused in on what his job is to do and win a premiership. They're not so much focused on changing a Guernsey.
Yep.
Which I had a little bit of trouble with. Look, majority did. But how it sort of turned out and how we do it at the football club is if they don't end up wearing 2, well, they hand over the match worn and they'll keep the one that's not match worn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's very good of them.
Yeah, it's very good of them, but that's what they're told, and I told them, throughout the week, even if it's just an event Guernsey for the week, so we make sure that, if they wear 2, well, they get 2 match worn, they get a match worn, but if not, they'll have to, hand it over, because obviously the person buying it is buying a match worn. So make sure that they're happy customers.
Man, I reckon a lot of other clubs would want someone like you down at their club, because I'm sure you've heard about the debacles from 17 and 18. A lot of upset people, a lot of upset buyers.
Right.
But it just goes to show that, a good collector like yourself, they really take pride in making sure that people are going to get what they want and what they desire, and that it's correct, which is the main thing.
Yeah, that's right. And I know a lot of people are not happy with, as well, that I sort of read online, they're not happy with the way sort of the club washes them. And, they'd love to have the stains and whatever but I think those days, and especially now that, what we're going through at the moment, those days are sort of past, I guess. And I know for our football club, and I think it's almost becoming league wide now that we can't send out Guernseys that have dirt on them, that have blood on them. It's just not for health reasons. It's not, it's not safe. I know a lot of people say, it's just in the fabric or whatever, but, we just don't know, where it ends up or, how long it takes to get in the post. So we don't want it getting moldy or anything like that. So, I know a lot of people, get upset about, obviously the club has to wash them, but, I'm sure they could sort of, get an idea of why the club does it.
Yeah. Yeah, I am one that would prefer them unwashed, but yeah, I totally understand why they wouldn't be. And I know Port Adelaide changed their way they do things where they they put them on the racks at the store so they don't actually auction them anymore, and they get them to come in, and so they're in their original condition, so they can just pick them up and do what they want with them straight away. So they're not going in the mail, like you say, or it's a little bit harder when, you have to send it away. So like you say, you don't know exactly what's going to happen with them, and you can't be sure of the health wise. So
yeah,
sense,
but that is a great idea from Port. And as I said, like, I'd love it to be, as is, but it just depends. Well, I guess a lot of Adelaide people buy Adelaide jumpers so they can come and pick them up. But if you've got someone sort of obviously in a state, it'd be pretty hard. But I like the way they go about it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard either way. I mean, win, lose really, because you're gonna make a lot of people in the Adelaide area really happy, but then you're gonna really upset some people who aren't in Adelaide. So yeah, you can't really win either way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, actually, on that, so obviously we mentioned that the Port Adelaide sales, etc., that they do at the end of this season and things like that, but the Bulldogs actually did one this year, and it came out of almost nowhere. It shocked the hell out of me. I think I actually messaged you about it straight away. I think you were in Darwin at the time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Is this this might have been the mega sale that they had?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, what happens is if it's a player issue Guernsey, obviously every player goes up, whether they've played or haven't played. It goes up online for auction.
Yep.
And if it doesn't get sold, I guess they just sort of, end up back in the shop. But I think the club had a few, jumpers laying around, and ended up becoming in that mega sale. So yeah, that's sort of not really, anything that I sort of, have any sort of control over at the footy club. Once they sort of, finish up with the game, we hand them over to the store or, to the merchandise manager. So they look after that upstairs and, away it goes. So.
Yeah, so you're basically, your job ends with those jumpers as soon as the game's over and you hand them over. That's it for yours, eh? So is it quite sad to see them go sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. We've had some good Guernseys in the past. But yeah, my job's to make sure that the boys get theirs, and obviously, they're washed and sent upstairs, signed, obviously. So that's another part of my role, is to make sure they get them signed, which can be an absolute nightmare. So if anyone's waiting for a Guernsey, it's probably because some of the boys have taken their time to sign it. So,
well, that's good that we know that exactly who to blame if they don't.
yeah. Give me a call and I'll pass them on.
Now, obviously, you're a bit of a collector yourself. Now, I've taken a while to get to this point, but
it's okay.
The reason that you listen to the show to begin with, I'm assuming, is because you collect jumpers yourself.
I do, and I started at the ripe old age of about 12 or 13. I got my first player issue Guernsey.
Ah.
I remember, well, to be honest, to go back even further, when I was a young tacker, I used to love and have this sort of weird obsession with what sponsors were on Guernseys. I'm not sure why,
Right.
but I always loved to make, Collingwood with the old Spices paper and all the rest of those sort of logos. I loved it. And then I was made aware of a player issue Guernsey. Like, I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I sort of stumbled across one in this store, this sort of football store in Smith Street.
Yeah.
I forget what that store's called, but
is it Memorabilia on Smith?
Nah, it's not that one.
Okay. Let's scratch that out.
Yeah, there was this, mate, I couldn't believe it. It was just sort of a pop-up, it's not there anymore, I know that for a fact, but it was just a sort of pop-up store. Walked in there, and I've seen this Guernsey, and it was the first time we've ever seen a Guernsey up close that was sublimated.
Okay.
And I was like, with the number sublimated, I was like, I've got to have this. So the guy said that he got it from somebody, I don't know, but anyway, I ended up buying it, and that was my first one, and ever since then it just became an obsession as a young guy to sort of collect, because I just love football and loved, collecting Guernseys, I guess. That's how it all sort of started.
Yeah. What was it?
It was I I think it was 37 or so. It was just it was a Collingwood Guernsey, there you go. Collingwood away jumper. I'm not sure, it would have been about 2007, I think it might have been, 2006. So, just ended up saying, yep, I'll buy that, and you're making me think now. I'm trying to think all the way back, and
I'm assuming you don't still have it then.
I've still got it.
Oh, you do? Wow.
I do.
That's impressive.
I'll have to try and find it for you and send you a flick. But
definitely. I think everyone would love to see it now.
I'll try and come up with it. I've got an old suitcase at home that I keep my Guernseys in, but I'll try and find it, that's for sure.
So you just answered one of my questions, actually. So you store all your jumpers in a suitcase?
I do. Well, the ones that I take over to America, they come back empty, so I make sure that I stock up my Guernseys in there. Look, and I've sort of stopped collecting now.
Okay.
I follow the pages obviously on Facebook. Love to have a look to see what people have got out there. Yep. I might try and buy one. I've never ever been a seller. Never sold any of my Guernseys. I just think they're too precious, and my main goal is to give them to my kids. So I don't have any kids at the moment, but when I do, it's sort of to pass that on to them.
Yep.
And then, hopefully my kids pass it on to their kids. So hopefully it just keeps going. So that's sort of my goal for that. But,
nice.
Always on the lookout to buy, but just, only if it's something special.
How many do you have?
I might have probably about 40 Guernseys, 40, 50 Guernseys.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, and I do a lot of, this is one that you like. I guess when a player comes into the football club, that's been at another team, I always try and sneak one from him. So okay. I've got a Matthew Suckling from Hawthorn, Taylor Duray, just a couple of the boys that sort of fling me some Guernseys that they've had laying around, which is pretty cool of them. Jackson Trengove as well from Port, Angus Monfrey. So got a couple of their Guernseys that I just stored away and thought that was pretty cool and pretty nice of them to, hand them over because they obviously know that, I'm interested in it and
Yeah, that's very cool. So you're not one that's just going to collect just one club. So you're not tied purely to the Bulldogs or to Collingwood at all. So you're happy just to pick up something if it's something that catches your eye?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, even though that I work at the club, like I think I've only got 4 or 5 Bulldogs Guernseys.
Right.
And I only have them because we only order 2 each player, and then obviously one takes it home and one gets auctioned. So if I've only had a couple of guys sort of say, I don't want this, here you can have it. So that's the only way I'll sort of collect them. And but you're right, I collect sort of any sort of Guernsey. I've got a few Richmond, Essendon as well. I've got all the sort of couple of teams. I'm missing a few, like I'm missing Freo actually, so I might have to talk to you about.
Oh mate, I was going to say, how do you not have a Croge? He must be upset by that.
I do. He's probably upset that I've missed it. So he's given Indigenous Guernsey, so I've got that.
Oh, you have got one. Oh, that's
I have. West Coast I was thinking of, but I don't have a West Coast, so I might have to hit up Ashley Hansen and maybe an old school West Coast or something like that. So
jeez, that'd be nice. That
would be nice. Yeah.
He had a good 2006. Everyone loved him then.
I might try and get that Guernsey. That'd be nice.
What would you say is the most special jumper that you have?
The second one my second collection, I bought it off, I paid for it a fair bit amount of money because I remember saving up, bought it off eBay, which was an Anzac Day Guernsey, Brad Dick for Collingwood.
Yep.
So that was, that because I loved Brad Dick at the time. And it was an amazing Guernsey because it had the Anzac Day logo on the front. But what had happened is Collingwood actually changed their sponsor, or someone can correct me if I'm wrong. They changed the sponsor just before the game. So you can actually see if you turn the Guernsey inside out, it's got a Wizard Home Loans sponsor. But on top, they've heat pressed on a Aussie Home Loans.
Yes.
If you remember that. So
I do, yeah. I didn't remember it was that game, but wow, there you go.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was that game. I might have to look back after this when I get off the podcast. But so that was pretty cool because I turned that inside out. I was like, I thought they were. Oh, I remember being at the game going, geez, they've just changed sponsor, and ended up getting a Guernsey, which was pretty cool. And seeing the heat press over the top. So that's my favourite. I'll definitely never part with that one. That's for sure.
Yeah. Sounds like you really are a sponsor fiend. You enjoy your sponsors, that's for sure.
I don't know why, but I do. I do.
You're not the only one. I've talked to many people that have the same sort of qualms as you. So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess we haven't had a lot of sponsors as Freo. We've had only 3 or 4 in the last 10, 15 years. So, I mean, it's been a bit different for us. But, I mean, we had the hard yakka and people that aren't Freo fans will always remember Freo as being hard yakka. So
yakka, that's right. Yeah, and I love that strip as well. That's one of my favourite strips actually. I wish they'd bring that back.
Yeah. Well, did you enjoy the retro round last year?
I did. I really loved it. It looked great, and I'm not sure if you saw as well the Bulldogs retro round. I'm sure you did. That was that was pretty cool as well, and there was a lot of hype at the football club about that one because that looked fantastic.
It did, and it bled over to the VFL as well, didn't it?
It did, yeah, because obviously, Footscray Football Club out there in the VFL. And it looked fantastic through the both, teams on the same weekend, which was great, and had some really good feedback from a lot of fans and, a lot of people just, commenting on the Guernsey, which was great. So they did a fantastic job of that.
It did. It looked fantastic. And the fact that it auctioned off as a pair was really cool and it was a great idea.
Yeah. Yep. I had a little bit to do with that. Like, obviously they sort of asked, what should we do? And I said, well, give fans the opportunity to buy both. And, so that, I heard a lot of people were happy with that, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I've got a question here which came to me last night and I thought, geez, that is a genius question. Yep. I hope you can, talking myself up here before I ask it.
That's alright.
Now I hope you can answer it now, because if you don't, it's going to make me look stupid, but.
That's okay.
Alright, so if you could be the equipment manager, so I did change that, equipment manager for any team in any era, what would it be and why?
Any team, any era. Is that obviously you're talking AFL?
Yep. Well, it could be VFL.
Well, I was going to say I would have loved to have been the equipment manager for any LeBron James games, that's for sure. Like any LeBron teams, that would have been cool.
Absolutely.
For any team, probably 2016 Bulldogs. It was just a fantastic group to work for, and to see them go on and win the premiership was just even better. So that was definitely your team. To answer that, because just that journey in itself. Yeah, it was incredible. So I'll pick that team. That's a good question though.
Feeling the love.
I liked it. I know you probably wish I would have said Fremantle, but I'm sorry.
I definitely didn't think you would say that. I was thinking like 90, 91, 92 Geelong or something like that. I don't know. Something with a great Ablett senior.
That would have been cool. I'm a big fan of Buddy, so maybe something to do there with Buddy. But no, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Have you ever slid any jumpers into your own bag that you thought, I need this. I've got to take this.
I wish, mate. I wish. But, no, I could easily order them if I like, but as I said, like, it's funny. A lot of the boys don't, even though they're playing in it, like a lot of people probably think that they, want it and to take it home. There's a lot of players, like you'd be surprised, that sort of are not interested at all about it. Yeah. I probably wouldn't say not interested, because they're interested in the Guernsey, but it's probably something that they're not, passionate about like us, like me and you. So, they're happy to sort of hand them to their friends, family, myself sometimes. So that's how I sort of pick up my Guernseys there, but no, never done that, that's for sure.
Well, I'm sure you wouldn't tell me if you did, but that's probably not a bad thing. No, he didn't either. I'm sure he didn't. Anyway. So actually, you mentioned that. Now, I know that the Dockers at the end of the season get given an option to buy a couple of jumpers throughout the year if they desire. I think they pay $100 each or something around that, which is I think what the club pays for them. But I know for a fact that majority of them don't get bought because I end up getting offered them. So is it sort of similar to what they do at the dogs, or is it, do they get offered after the game, or is it end of the year sort of thing like it is at Freo?
Yeah, so end of the year, the guys will come in for an exit meeting, and one of the exit meetings will be through my office. And what that is for me is I hand them, and they don't pay for it, so I'm surprised Fremantle pay for it, but our guys get given a home Guernsey, an away Guernsey, and 2 training Guernseys to take home.
Yeah, right.
So, okay. Yeah, so like a lot of the guys would have, a stack of, if you've been in the league for 8 years or plus, you'd have a stack of Guernseys. I know the young kids when they come in and they've played their first year to go home with a bag of goodies is pretty cool. Their faces light up walking out of the place. But, so that's how it works here at our football club. They take them home, and as I said, a lot of them end up becoming presents for people. I'm going to give this to my grandpa, or, I might give this to my brother or brother-in-law, whatever it may be. That'd be a pretty cool piece, and that's sort of how they get distributed, I guess, through families and friends.
I'll just backtrack a little bit on what I said. I know that the club gives them a home jumper, so I know they do get a home jumper for free, but yeah, they're offered to buy any of the event Guernseys or anything like that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I know they do pass in, but yeah, like you say, they do often buy them and give them to family members, because I know Dave Mundy actually gives majority of his jumpers to his parents, who absolutely love them. So I imagine they would have just frames galore on their walls.
Let's hope so. That'd be pretty cool to see the man cave out there at the Mundy's house. Is that what it was? Dave Mundy? Yeah.
It was, yeah, which I believe would be in Shepparton, if I'm not wrong.
Well, there you go. Maybe, mate, there might be a nice tour there for you one day, and hopefully get out and have a look.
I think the parents might be a bit worried about me if I was to go there. It probably heard about me as a bit of a stalker, so probably wouldn't let me in, I reckon. Well, especially if they've seen the Instagram post.
If you rock up with your wallet full of cash, I guess you might be able to offer them some cash for some Guernseys.
Not a bad idea at all. Now, another thing I did see on your Instagram page, your Instagram is full of gold, by the way, is I've seen little old Nan sitting there sewing up some jumpers, some ripped jumpers. Is that a regular occurrence?
Geez, you have done a really good stalk there, haven't you? So no, what happened was, ASICS came on board, and they're fantastic Guernseys, ASICS, but what we had on the back of the Guernsey was a little, panel. It's like a little bit of fabric that said Cedar Nullis, obviously the club's slogan. And that was just placed over a bit of stitching, just to, tidy up the Guernsey, make it look good. But if we found that if the boys sort of got into a bit of a scrap, or, the neck got pulled, it'd just sort of pop off. So, there was one thing to, just rip it off, and, there's no harm to the Guernsey, but I just like to sort of keep that piece intact. I thought it was pretty cool to have on the back of the Guernsey, so I just took it around to Nan's house, and she just sews it on. It only takes a couple of minutes. She whips out the sewing machine and just ties it back up. But any sort of rips or anything like that, obviously we order a new Guernsey. But this thing, because it was just so small, just a quick tidy up.
That's tremendous. So anyone out there who could possibly spot that these sewn little rips, they know it comes from Nan, so that's a great little nugget there.
Yeah, she might start charging too, so don't want to have to plug Nan. She might start charging me for that.
Is she a footy fan as well? Does she love it when you bring them around?
Mad Collingwood supporter, mate. I'm not sure if she likes me bringing around dog supporters, dogs Guernseys, so.
Oh God.
Yeah, she's a mad Collingwood supporter and loves it, but yeah, you know what? She loves watching Dogs games now that I'm there, and she has been for quite a while. So she'll probably hate me saying that because she's mad Collingwood, but she's happy to help out the football club, I guess.
Have you managed to get her any jumpers at all?
Get her any Guernseys? Nah, she's not I'll tell you what though, she's got the Brad Dick at home hidden away. So I gave it to her to look after. I loved it so much. So she's got it in a nice, I'm not sure where it is at her house, but she's got it tucked away for me. So, yeah.
Very nice. Now, if there's one jersey, a jumper, Guernsey, it's hard to tell what everyone wants to know nowadays.
What do people want? Guernsey, jumper? I got asked that question just before I came on. Like, is it a jumper or a Guernsey? I said, you know what? They both mean the same thing. So
pretty much, yeah. I mean, Guernsey is just, isn't it an isle off the country of Ireland or something like that? Like, it's just it doesn't really mean a whole actual thing, though, does it?
Yeah. Mate, as I said, I'm looking at it. It's like you up, mate. It's a footy jumper, Guernsey, whatever you like to call it. It's personal preference.
Pretty much. I mean, like I've had pretty much every iteration of it on the show. So yep. I think I've probably had jumper more often than not, but I don't get jersey a lot often. But yeah, definitely get Guernsey and jumper a lot. So I guess that's what we go with. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, like I say, we collect everything. I mean, NBA jerseys as well. So I mean, it comes from everywhere.
Maybe we could put up a poll after this and see what they vote for.
We will. We definitely will with the Jayden Shea poll. So anyway, I was asking you a question in that, wasn't I? So
sorry to
No, it's my fault. I go off on tangents. If there was one jumper or Guernsey that you would like to get from any club, any era, whatever, what would it be?
Oh, jeez, you've stumped me here. Probably, look, any grand final Guernsey out there. I don't really have a preference, but I just like to throw it out there. Whoever's got one, like, consider yourself pretty lucky because there is a lot of them, but they would be so hard to get. And if you want to, like, you know, obviously pay your money and buy it online, like, that's great. And, you know, that's good for you. And just look after it, I guess, because, you know, they're really hard to come by. And I know the grand final Guernsey means a lot to players. So, for you to have one in your possession, I think it's pretty cool. So that's probably my answer, I guess. Any sort of grand final Guernsey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any at all at the moment?
I've got one.
Yep. And it's from 2016, I imagine?
2016, yeah. I did tuck that one away. I made sure I asked the boss if I could have one, and he said no worries. So,
are you able to share with us whose it was?
I actually can't remember what the number is on the back, but it was actually just for signing purpose. Like, I just got it signed at the front.
Fair enough.
I just made sure I was more worried about, that's another thing as well. Like, I was more worried about what size it was for the frame. I guess.
Yeah.
Because how it sort of works, with our sort of sizing is it goes small, medium, large, extra large through the chest. And then we add extra length on that for the players. So that's how that works at our football club. So, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that wear in small sort of chest, but you'll see the Guernsey obviously come down around their waist. So it's not short. So, you know, some Guernseys can look odd, but not on, if that makes sense. So could look odd hanging up, but probably not on them. So all tailored.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
So so back to that, I was more just worried about what size it was, got a sort of a smaller size. I think it went for sort of a medium, got that signed, and yeah, that's all she wrote. Have
you managed to frame it up yet?
I haven't.
Oh.
What are we in now? 2021. I still haven't got it framed, so yeah, I should get it framed.
Yeah, it's got to be the centerpiece on the wall, surely.
It has. It should be. It will be. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'll be honest. We could probably go on all day here, and we probably will have to get you back for a second part at some point because I've loved this chat, and I think everyone else is going to thoroughly enjoy it as well. But I feel like we just scratched the surface, and it's going to be a lot more questions thrown at me, no doubt, from listeners. So we'll have to get you back on again one day, and hopefully you get back to your club very shortly. I know you love it there, so I know you'll very much looking forward to getting back there.
Oh, I do, and I just want to say, appreciate you having me on and what you're doing for the football Guernsey community, because I had no idea, to be honest. I had no idea. I've only sort of just come across the Facebook pages, the Instagram pages, in the last 3 years, to be honest. So yeah, okay. I appreciate that, to be able to get on and have a look to see what people collect. Like, I find it pretty cool. But I had no idea, no idea about it. Just sort of stumbled across it one day and, think it's fantastic.
No, I really appreciate it, man. I really, really do. I know you're a really busy man, so to get you on, and man of your stature, which to me is quite high. I mean, I look at the people in your position as being really integral as far as the collector's hobby goes. So, no, it's really big for me to get you on here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and I know everyone's going to love it. So, no, I really, really appreciate you, man.
No, thanks for having me on, mate. And, let's hope the Dogs have a good year this year and hopefully have another patch in your hands.
Absolutely. It sounds like they're going to have a big one. So, yeah, bring on that 2020 patch. That'll be very, very well. Everyone would absolutely die for that, no matter who it is, I reckon.
Yeah, they would. Let's hope so. But, fingers crossed.
All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
There we go. How good was that? Our interview with Jayden Shea from the Western Bulldogs, the equipment manager of the Western Bulldogs. I absolutely love that interview. I'm sure you will as well. It's been a long, long time getting him on, but man, it was well worth it. I can't wait to hear from him again. Hopefully you all give us some great feedback and some encouragement for Jayden to come on for a second interview. I think it'll be great to ask him all your questions. Now, if you want to follow Jayden, and I highly suggest that you do, jump onto his Instagram page. It's Jayden Shea _. And you can let me know what you think, but I firmly believe that himself and Marcus Bontempelli have a good bromance going on there, and what a man to have it with. You can't blame him, honestly. So, thanks a lot, Jayden. We really appreciate you coming on, sharing your time with us, and hope you had a great time, because I certainly did. Now, I don't know about you, but it's looking very much like the AFL is not too far from coming back. I, for one, am very excited. I know there are quite a lot of commentators out there who would say that not to bother coming back this year. I don't see any reason why not. The way we're doing things here in Australia has been second to just about none as far as our recovery from COVID-19. So I think getting back to live sport and some sort of sense of normalcy is just what the doctor ordered. So I'm extremely excited to have the AFL come back and watch some football, some live football. It'd be fantastic. Obviously, we won't be able to go to the grounds, but I can't wait to be sitting on my couch while the missus does some gardening and watch some footy. I'm sure she'll love that. But in all seriousness, while this has all been going on, you would think that the jumper collecting might have taken a drop, and I reckon I might have started to mention something similar on the last episode, but seems, well, at least for me anyway, I don't know about you guys, but for me it's I've been able to find a lot of stuff that I needed to add to the collection, or that have just popped up that have been absolutely tremendous, and I think I've had probably the best couple of months as far as collecting jumpers goes, and I am absolutely stoked with what I've picked up. eBay has been going off, so I normally would say, obviously the start of footy is when it usually starts to pick up again, and obviously with football now gone for at least the short period of time anyway, you would think that it would drop off again, but no, it's jumped straight back up, and there's been heaps going on. I'm hoping it's not because these people have lost their jobs or anything like that, and they've had to sell their prized collections and need some money, because that would be pretty sad. However, like we say, there's been a lot of jumpers pop up on eBay and Gumtree and the Facebook marketplaces and things like that, and I know I've grabbed some beauties, and I will share some of them with you today. Now, obviously, it's been 7 weeks since our last episode, so sorry about that again. But as it has been a while, I've managed to pick up quite a few. So bear with me. I'll just go through some of the more important ones. I picked up a 2012 Jayden Shea. Yep, that's how you say his name. I had to watch a couple of videos, one including Chris Main, who said that he himself had to go through 5 minutes of asking him how to say his name. So Jayden Shea, Starlight 2012 player issue, and that's signed. And that one came from Vita, so thank you very much, Vita. I picked up a 98 Scott West Western Bulldogs player issue. It looks match worn, it probably is, but we'll say player issue. It does have his signature on the Bulldog on the front as well, and it's one of the Orica sponsored jumpers, which looks absolutely tremendous. Another huge pickup I got is not related to football, but it's actually basketball, and it's the NBL. The Perth Wildcats being the most successful team in the world, we'll have to say. I was able to pick up the 6 jerseys that used to hang from Challenge Stadium roof. They were all the retired numbers of the 6 NBL players that played for the Perth Wildcats that have been retired. So Mike Ellis, Scott Fenton, Ricky Grace, James Crawford, Andrew Vlahov, and Scott Fisher. So stoked to pick those up. The guy messaged me and asked me if I was interested, and of course I was, being a huge Wildcats fan and being a massive once-off item that there's no way you'd be able to get otherwise. So, yeah, I thought that was an awesome pickup, and I couldn't help myself but to grab those. Now, in the background, I'm sure you can hear Milo ticking on the new floors. Now, unfortunately, these floors do make a little bit of noise, so we might hear Milo a bit more often in the show. One I've been holding on to for a little while that I've been trying to get a hold of, and he's actually come to the party finally and messaged me and said that he was happy for me to grab it. He probably wanted a little bit more than I wanted to spend to begin with, but I managed to talk him down a little bit, and we were happy to pay the price that I did. I think he's more than happy to get as much as he did, and I'm stoked just to have another Fife in the collection. So I got a Fife 2011 match-worn Starlight jumper, which is signed as well. So that ticked off another one on the collection that I need. Also picked up a 2006 Justin Longmuir long sleeve match worn. That one come from eBay. It's signed on the front by Chris Tarrant. It was advertised as a Chris Tarrant jumper. However, he didn't come to the club until 2007, where he did wear number 20 for one season. But this one's definitely a 2006, and it's Justin Longmuir. And I picked that up for around $263. Someone else really wanted that jumper. But I'm very, very glad I got it. And there was another one to tick off of the list to get one of every single Freo jumper ever worn. So glad, very, very glad I got that one. And also it's my first Justin Longmuir. So I'm really, really happy to add the new Fremantle coach into the collection. From Adam Jander, I managed to pick up a 2018 Buddy Franklin player issue warm-up top. Thank you, Adam, for that one. It was a great deal and looks fantastic. My mate Craig, the great Craig Evans from the Fremantle Football Club, he unfortunately did get stood down from his position at the Fremantle Football Club. It's super sad, obviously, but we are hopeful that he will be back there very, very soon. So he did sell me a couple of his jumpers, and one of them was a 2014 Matthew Taberner Indigenous player issue. I had to pick that one up because for some reason I didn't have it in the collection already, so that was a tick-off. But the other jumper that I got off him is absolutely beautiful, and it's one I've been trying to get off him for years, and so I'm really, really happy to actually score it. It was a 2004 Paul Hazelby match-worn heritage jumper. Absolutely beautiful. Really, really happy. Again, another one of my first. It's a first Hazelby for me. I think I did have a trainee jumper at one point, but it's my first match jumper. So I still need to get a 3 and a 5 heritage jumper, and then I'll have them all. So, yeah, again, that's another tick off for the list. And I still believe I need around about 21 or so to have every single one of them, and there's 95. So, yeah, if anyone out there has one of these jumpers that I need, jump on my Player Issue Podcast page, have a look. There's a list on there of what jumpers I still need. Also picked up a cracking 2006 Shane Parker Player Issue Clash jumper, and that one came from Jason Wicks. Thank you, Jason. Beautiful jumper. I'm all the way from Tasmania. And again, another rather new one for me. So it's another Shane Parker. So another first Parker. It's been a tremendous period for me, which is what I mentioned earlier. It's the jumpers that I've been able to pick up is just incredible. I also found a 2012 Matthew Pavlich Starlight player issue. That one came off Gumtree, and I got that for an absolute steal. Awesome jumper, obviously a legend of the club, so who can go wrong with a Matthew Pavlich? Another jumper I picked up was a 1996 Phil Matera player issue, long sleeve. So obviously the centenary badge on it, which is a big deal. This one had a bit of a story to it. So this jumper was actually on Gumtree, and they wanted $2,500 for it. So obviously out of my range completely, but been up for quite a while, and I thought I'd throw my hand at it and just say what would be the lowest you would take, thinking they would say $2,000, and it would still be well out of my price range, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. And they came back with a very low price, so I was shocked. So obviously it was still a fair amount of money for some people, but this is more than fair price for this particular design jumper. Now it was framed, and they advertised it as Dean Kemp's jumper. When I got there, I could see that it did have 2 numbers sewn into the back of the jumper. These people were adamant that it was Dean Kemp's and it wasn't number 2. I did tell them about it, but they got a little bit upset when I mentioned that, so I just played it off and said, okay, no problem. I'll just take it anyway. Don't worry about it. And I got it home, and of course, being myself, and I mentioned it previously, that I have to unframe these jumpers. I just can't keep them in the frames, especially when I don't know exactly what number's on the back. So the first thing I did was unframe it as soon as I got home. And I found it to be a number 33. So still absolutely stoked with the number. That was Phil Maturi's first season. So technically it's his first player issue jumper. As this jumper in particular, with the acrylic 1996 jumpers were only used during the pre-season. Now unfortunately he only wore a short sleeve during that jumper, so it would only be player issue. However, also, on that note, these jumpers carried over from 1995. So 1995, this particular number 33, was worn by Tony Godden. And if you've listened to the show before, you'll know that Tony Godden works at Fremantle still, at the Fremantle Football Club, and he used to play for West Coast and Fremantle. So this will be a good little jumper to be able to show Tony. I don't know if he's worn the long sleeve or not. He may have worn it in training, if not a game. So I'll have to ask him that, because it certainly seems like it has been worn. So I'd love to get some history if I can from him. Maybe Phil wore it in the pre-season training, something like that. I'd love to just get some sort of history. So it is a beautiful jumper. Definitely want to get on my AFL Guernsey collection page and have a look at that one. And just to round off what I've got in the last 7 weeks, just today actually, I had a great chat and great time with Josh Coles. So Josh came around to my place and we traded a couple of jumpers, and I think we're both really happy. He got a 2015 training worn Nat 5 and a retro Brett Bewley, while I managed to score another tick off for the list. I got a 2007 Ryan Murphy match worn purple haze, which is signed. So that's another one off the list. So I'm really dwindling down this list, which has been great the last few weeks. It's been great for me for this list. But I also managed to score out of him, which was just pure luck, because I just asked him if he had anything else. And he sprung on me a 2006 David Mundy Heritage player issue long sleeve jumper. So as soon as I saw that, I knew I had to have it. And luckily Josh came to the party and we were able to work out a very fair trade for both of us. And yeah, I've been able to add that to the collection, and she is a beauty. So thank you very much, Josh. You're a champion. Just run through what I've seen on eBay. I have seen a lot over the last 7 weeks, so I'll keep it fairly brief. One of these ones I really, really appreciate. Everybody sends through the links to all these, and I get probably 30 or 40 links to these jumpers, but I appreciate every single one of them. Because this one was a 2010 Nat 5 signed Purple Haze Guernsey. So he didn't wear the jumper. It was, I believe, a round or two before he actually came and played in his debut. So it's a debut season. But it's a gorgeous jumper. It's obviously the year he wore number 13, the only year. That one went for $587. I actually have the exact same jumper, but mine's unsigned. So I didn't have to jump on that one, thankfully. But yeah, again, I do appreciate everybody sending me that link, and every single time you do send me a link, I appreciate every single one of them, because it certainly has helped me multiple times. And of course, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, so it works both ways, of course. There's also a 2010 home Chris Mayne match worn signed jumper. That one went for $222.50. I didn't jump on that one. Now, a few jumpers took me by surprise. One did pop up, but it actually didn't take me by surprise the way it flew, because this bloke's just come back to this club. So Carlton Eddie Betts, number 19, signed match worn jumper. Beautiful jumper. It went up, I think, 99 cents it started possibly. It jumped real quick and it ended up selling for $710. So I've definitely seen this one up before and didn't go anywhere close to that. But of course, now that he's back at Carlton, all the Carlton fans want to jump back on him. So whoever did, well done, because it is a beautiful jumper. It'll be great to add that to the collection for sure. Another one I've seen multiple times over the years and didn't even go close to this sort of price, but now for some reason, and I'm not sure I will understand this one, but a West Coast Indigenous player issue Darren Glass jumper, 14-15 region. I can't tell you exactly, I probably should have researched that, but this one went for $859. Now, that is incredible. $859 for, I believe, could have even been a sample jumper, so not too sure, but whoever did get that, I hope you love it. Also, a 2014 Melbourne Jeremy Howell Heritage Player Issue jumper, went for $192.50. That's got the names of, I believe, members all over the front of it. Beautiful looking jumper, and I believe there's another one up at the moment, and it may be around about the same price. So that's a very desirable jumper. A 91 State of Origin Big V Victoria jumper went for $197.49. That was number 5. So I believe it was a retail. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody does know, but yeah, I do believe it was a retail. Another one that was a little bit surprising, I actually got asked the value I thought of this jumper. Now, it's advertised as a 2015 Nick Nat Nui. It's a Clash player issue. Now, it definitely isn't a 2015. It's either a 2012 or a 13. And if you know the jumper I'm talking about and you're trying to figure out why I say it's a 12 or 13, if you have a look down at the little tag down the bottom of the front of the jumper, you'll see the little Puma logo and the AFL logo and the little stick man. Now, above the stick man should have been the West Coast Eagles logo, and that was started in 2014. So 14, 15 onwards, that's when it would have happened. However, before that, it didn't have that little logo. So that's the way you can tell it was a 2012 or 13. But that one still got a very, very hefty price, $465. 2017 player issue Carlton Grey Clash. Really gorgeous jumper. Has the Virgin Australia logo actually heat pressed on the front. I know the whole jumper is pretty much heat pressed, but this one actually heat pressed over the old sponsor logo, so it's kind of cool. That one I believe wasn't worn very often either, so they wore that in round 21 against West Coast Eagles. Really, really cool, and to pick that up for $300 probably isn't a bad price. That was a Liam Jones, if I didn't already mention that. Another one that surprised me, but it surprised me in the fact that it didn't go as high as I would imagine. A JLT Geelong Cats player issue signed Tim Kelly jumper went for $98. It didn't even crack 100. It's a little bit surprising for someone who's going to be a bit of a superstar of the game. Perhaps Geelong fans are already over it, and maybe West Coast fans just don't want a Geelong jumper. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a bit interesting. It didn't go very high. And a 2007 Daniel Kerr West Coast Eagles player issue home jumper went for $227.50. So everyone still loves Daniel Kerr. Obviously, he's had a bit of a rough time of it, but he's still a champion. The 2017 Brandon Ellis Richmond player issue grand final jumper is still up for sale if anyone is after one. It's still at $5,500 or best offer. So if you've got a bit of cash after this COVID-19 and maybe you got given some money from all the stimulus packages and things like that, you can chuck in an offer and see how you go. There's a few jumpers up for offer at the moment. Most notably is a 1998 Hawthorn Ansett Cup Ben Dixon match-worn jumper, and that's currently got 5 days left and is sitting at $180.50, so big money there. There's also a Carlton 2005 player issue long sleeve, sitting at $175. And of course the player issue Melbourne 2014 members jumper, which was Shannon Burns player issue. It's currently at $155 with 5.5 days left. So if you want any of those, jump on eBay and have a squizzy. Okay, now before we end today's show, I just want to mention during the interview with Jayden, I mentioned the Guernsey name itself, not knowing exactly where it came from. I had a bit of a guess, and I actually wasn't too far off, but I did look it up last night on the good old trusty Wikipedia, and I'm glad I did, because I'll read out the Wikipedia meaning for Guernsey. So Guernsey is an island in the English Channel off the coast of Normandy. It lies roughly north of St. Malo and to the west of Jersey. So very interesting. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I wonder if it has a lot to do with it. So if you look at Guernsey and Jersey, if you look at Guernsey and Jersey, for me, that pretty much just tells you that it is pretty much the same thing. Now, originally a Guernsey, actually the meaning originally came from, it was a seaman's knitted woolen sweater, also similar to a jersey, so which obviously originated in the channel of the same name. So there you go. So Guernsey and Jersey are the same thing. So anyone that does say Jersey, and you jump down their throat and say, it's a Guernsey, there you go. It really actually does mean basically the same thing, because obviously now the jumpers, I'm bringing out a different one, because obviously the garments of nowadays, they aren't knitted or woolen, so really they're technically not a Guernsey if you go back to the original meaning of it. So really, if you look at it like that, there really isn't a wrong answer. Guernsey, Jersey, jumper, you can call it whatever you like. We know what it's called. And if anyone does give you shit for whatever you call it, you can just go back to that and say, well, actually, mate, here's the actual original meaning of it. So there's a little bit of knowledge for you on the end of today's episode. That will do it for today. I appreciate you hanging out, and I appreciate you coming back for more. We've had a lot of influx of listeners over this time, so obviously we've got a lot of new people listening, so I really appreciate everybody that jumps on and has a listen. Please, of course, leave me feedback. Jump on and give me a 5-star rating. Would be beautiful on Apple reviews or whatever review or whatever podcast platform you do listen to it. If you don't believe it's a 5-star, then let me know why, and I'll see what I can do about making it a little bit better for you. Without your feedback, I don't really know what I'm doing wrong or right, so would love to know. And yeah, anyway, I hope you all get the big one this week, and I hope the collecting goes very, very well for you, just like it has for me in the last 7 weeks. Fingers crossed it won't be 7 weeks till the next episode. If you would like to come on the show, please let me know, because we'll see if we can get you on, because we're starting to run a little bit thin of guests now. So yeah, certainly let me know if you'd like to come on. We'd love to hear your story. So that will do it. Ta-ta for now, and a good night.